Well, it's good to see you all again. It is 9:36 p.m. on August the 6th of the 21st, 2021, I mean. And, internet still ain't working. In fact, this is the second video I have recorded today. But, I just thought I'd get them ready for when the internet does come back because, yeah. But yeah, last video was one of the most emotional videos I've put out in this series, which I'm really, really happy about because, yeah, I feel genuine emotions about these characters. So let's just fucking get into it, I guess. So we left off on Thursday, and I think I know what's going to happen because, yeah, I played this before, but only once. I don't even remember how long ago at this point, but I did play it before. But we left off after the whole sexy time with Chase and Flynn, where Chase sucked him off, and I swear I love Flynn so much that it's amazing. But never mind. Let's just get into this. I opened my eyes blearily, waking up to the sound of something pounding in the distance. I stared at the ceiling a moment, then abruptly propped myself with my elbows, looking around, confused. Where the hell? Oh yeah, Flynn's room. I'd fallen asleep on Flynn's bed, naked after I'd taken a shower. Turns out that lizards don't have dryers, so I was left to air dry. I was tired, so Flynn let me lay out in his bed. And a few towels, and that's where I am right now. Guess I fell asleep. See, Flynn isn't that bad. He's a nice dude. He's better than nice dude. He's really sexy. Just fell asleep. Again, the pounding. I look over to my right and see Flynn curled up, his back facing me. Cutie. I think he's naked as well for a moment, then I see he's got boxers on, the black color blending in with his skin. His scales, you mean. I reach over to poke the rough skin of his scaly back. The frills on the back of his neck flare out for a second, then lay back down. I almost do it again, but Flynn's grumpy, annoyed as hell tone stops me. What? I clear my throat. Sorry, but it sounds like I don't have to say it because the pounding starts back up again, echoing up the hallway. What the fuck? Flynn pushes himself up into a sitting position, squints into the hallway through the door. What time is it? Flynn rolls off the bed and starts putting on a shirt. Grab my phone, glad to see that it's still at least half charge. It's 9. At the same time, I notice that I have texts, several of them. From Leo. Yep, this is happening. I remember this. Shit. What? Flynn hops around the room as he tries to pull on some pants. My eyes scan over the text, realizing who it likely is that's knocking on the door. The messages started around 2 hours ago. Hey, I was in the motel and you aren't there. Jenna says she doesn't know where you are either. She says you didn't spend the night there. You and Flynn are the only ones not answering my messages. Are you at his house? Hello? I feel my stomach go into a knot. Fuck. Flynn rolls on me annoyed, now fully dressed. Oh my god, he's hot. Knocking just stopped, but I'm still uneasy about what I've just found. I think it's Leo. What? This time Flynn sounds panicked. He's been texting me all morning. He thinks I'm here now. I show him my screen, but he barely looks at it. He's got his arms folded, his mind clearly racing. You know, he can't find out they spent the night here. I get my voice under control. I know. Yeah, we both know. Things are basically over between Leo and I. But that doesn't change the fact that this will bring up all kinds of problems in our little friend group. Flynn paces for a few seconds and turns back to me. Well, he's gone now. I think I just got called to say that you spent the night at his... He already texted Carl. Shit! Flynn groans and hangs back his head. Well, did he ask you if he spent the night there? No, just that he didn't know where I am. At least that's what he said in the text. I'll just tell him I don't know and Carl can say you were there. don't think Carl would have told... Flynn suddenly reaches out, grabbing my shoulder, and throwing me sideways onto the bed. I stare at him wide-eyed, but he's not looking at me. Instead, he's staring at the window behind me. What? He throws his hand out in my face, silencing me. Flynn moves to the window, and that's when I notice a big shadow shifting around out there. Oh my God, Leo, you fucking... I scramble to the other side of the bed, heart hammered in my chest. Did he see me? The curtains covering most of the window, but the foot-long gap at the end is just enough to look in. Flynn starts pantomiming in front of the window, shrugging his shoulders and shaking his head. Finally, he drops over to the side and leans in to crack the window open. What the hell are you doing? Why the hell didn't you answer your door? His voice is angry. Honestly, a lot more angry than I would have expected, despite the situation. I just woke up. I was knocking for like 5 fucking minutes. I'm a heavy sleeper. You're dressed and everything. I just got dressed. Most people don't go peeking the windows when they don't get an answer, though. Flynn glares through the window. Well, you roll off the bed so I can hide better, even if I'm not in view of the window from here. Listen, I'm looking for Chase. Have you seen him? No. Flynn shifts his position a bit in my direction as if trying to block Leo's view. Looking for something? Yeah, Chase. Well, he ain't here. Why would he be? He stayed behind with you at the party, didn't he? Yep, then ran off to do some projects or whatever. There's a long pause. Ooh, Chica. Can I come in for a second-hand drink? What? Go back to your house, man. You say you want me to come in? Flynn sighs loudly over in his eyes. I'm saying I'm tired. It's 10 in the fucking morning. It's 9, but yeah, sometimes I stay up late. Why? Flynn lowers his hands to his eyes and glares out at Leo. Listen, I'm really not in the mood for this right now. And then a long pause. You're acting a little crazy right now, too. Listen, I'll be on my way if I can just come in for a bit. I'm fucking burning up. See Flynn pushes forward against the glass, eyes closed. Frustration written all over his face. Well, it's not much better in the house, is it? Alright, a glass of water and get out so I can go back to sleep. Fine. Flynn closes the window, watching it for a while before sighing loudly. Alright, stay here, got it? If he knows you're here, we both know he'll kill us. Yeah. Alright, for whatever reason he comes back here, hide under the fucking bed if you have to. Flynn turns and heads out the door into the hallway. The last thing he said has me feeling like shit. Sneaking around Leo's back like this is wrong, even though I know telling him what about it would be worse. Well, you did suck his dick, but like, it was hot, like really hot, but like good. I'm sorry, I'm letting personal preferences butt into this, but like seriously, I fucking love BJs. They're so good. I love giving them more like. Is it my fault that Leo can't get over a relationship? I have the right to do what I want, right? Yes, you do. You're your own person, Chase. I sigh and press my forehead into the bed, much like Flynn had pressed his head against the window. Staring at my crotch when I realize I'm still naked. I look up, listening. I hear the front door open, followed by some distant mumbling from Leo. If I sneak to the bathroom real quick and grab my clothes, maybe stay there until Leo leaves. At least that way it won't look as bad if he finds me for whatever reason. I get up and pad quietly to the hall, listening. I can hear some clinking around the kitchen, then the murmur of voices. That's the wrong here, but whatever. The kitchen is practically out of sight of the hall, which leads to the living room. I stand there for a moment longer, tail twitching as I contemplate if this is a good idea or not. The moment I hear Leo's voice coming from the kitchen area again, I quickly tiptoe the short distance to the bathroom. Despite not having come close at all to being caught, my heart still hammers on my chest. The voices continue to mumble in the kitchen as I start looking around for my clothes. folded neatly on the counter, and I quickly snatched them up. Pretty sure I wouldn't. Wow, that was shit. Pretty sure I wouldn't smell on you. I catch a few words from Leo that makes my ears perk. Something about smell? Leo smells a lot of things, a canine's nose. My eyes widen. Did he smell me on Flynn? Pretty sure Flynn hasn't showered since we did get what we did yesterday. My heart rate picks up again as I feel my knees wanting to give out. Where the fuck are you going? This time I do hear Flynn, I know exactly what it means. The only problem is that I'm still naked in the fucking bathroom. Should I lock the door? Then Leo would definitely know someone's here, and that's probably me. Fuck! I mouthed the word, knowing that Leo would hear it if I said it loud. Now, I hear heavy footsteps coming up the hall. I definitely can't go back to the room and hide under the bed now. They don't keep coming toward the bathroom, though. The moments become somewhat muffled again as they turn to Flynn's room. This is fucking crazy, Leo! If Leo heard Flynn doesn't say anything. I anticipate the sounds of Leo ripping apart Flynn's room, but I guess he isn't that far gone because things go quiet again. Then there's some pacing sound along with heavy breathing. You realize you got the cops, right? I hear the closet door open. I look around, desperately realize I don't have much time. The first thing I see is the shower curtain in the bathtub. It's a see-through blue color, so there's no way I could stand behind it and not be seen. I hear shifting around in the other room again, and their bickering becoming more clear as they step back into the hall. Panicked and practically numb with fear, I crouch down and pull open a cupboard under the sink. Amazingly, there are only a few bottles of cleaning solutions, leaving plenty of room for me to squeeze in. As quietly as I can, I crawl into the opening. Reaching back out, I pull the door closed, setting my other hand against it. As I do so it won't spring shut. Everything goes dark, and their voices become muffled once again. I back up against the very back of the enclosure, hugging my knees as I try to keep my breathing quiet. It's actually a little while before they come into the bathroom, but I almost jump as Leo's voice booms in the small space. His smell is all over your fucking house. Then he should probably shower more. There's a small silence, and I imagine Leo just gave him a look that shattered any surely confidence he might have had. What the fuck is that combination of words? What? Like I said, he was here for an hour yesterday. And why didn't you fucking tell me that earlier? Because I knew you'd be acting like this, seriously. Their footsteps shift again in time with their voices muffling. I dare let out a small sigh of relief. I can still hear them arguing, but I don't really care enough. What the fuck's happening? Oh, right. Follow them, huh? Follow them. Okay, fuck you, I will. Fuck you. Alright, the fourth wall breaking. Oh, I hated this the first time. I cannot tell you how much I hated this shit the first time. Oh my god. You pass through the cupboard door into the bathroom. You follow the voices down to the hall into the kitchen. I'm getting fucking chills, oh my god. Leo is on his way to the door. He stops in front of it, turning back around to Flynn. He's following close behind. You're really starting to piss me off, Flynn. And you're really starting to freak me out, Leo. All of that still doesn't explain why his smell is all over you. Flynn works his jaw from when eyes narrowed. We roughhoused a little bit by the mine. By the mine. You know how it gets sometimes, and it was really hot. Leo is shaking his head like he's tired of listening to what Flynn has to say, like he's tired of everything. Of course you are, because you're a fucking piece of shit. And then to have it mixed with that smell. Flynn throws his hands up, exasperated. I jerked off later, sorry, but this really ain't any of your business. You know, it kinda fucking is since I planned out this entire fucking thing. Leo's starting to lose his temper again. You know this isn't like Leo at all. Calm down, Jesus. Maybe went off to do more research or whatever. Said he wasn't done at the mine. At the mine. He is not listening anymore. He's looking to the side, staring at the wall, hackles raised. Listen, I'll drive around town real quick to see if I can find him before work, alright? Flynn, you know that you ruined this whole thing for me, right? Dang for you. What are you talking about? And I'll be fucking damned if I let you do it again. The anger and spite in Leo's face is scaring Flynn. Leo, what's going on? But Leo still isn't listening. The wolf turns sharply away, yanking open the door. Leo! Flynn reaches out, resting a hand on Leo's shoulder. But at that moment, the wolf throws an elbow back into Flynn so hard that the lizard is sent stumbling back several steps before falling to his knees. Flynn lets out a hoarse groan, but Leo ignores it, slamming the door shut on his way out. Flynn stays like that, doubled over on the carpet, making soft, rasping noises before his breathing finally comes under his control. He stays there a while longer, absorbing what had just happened, knowing that Leo wasn't himself either. He also regrets doing anything with Chase. And in case you were wondering, there's your confirmation. We are not Chase right now. Finally, he looks up, right at you. You decide to leave. There's really no point to try and reason with him. It's been a while since you've been out alone like this. Feels good not being attached. Something about that lizard Flynn is helping this happen. You'll have to deal with him later. As you continue to walk down the dirt road, you see him. It takes a while at first because he's so far away. But then you see that thick tail waving back and forth as he approaches you. Can he see you? Probably. It's been a long time since you were attached. But the feelings, the thoughts, you can remember it like it was yesterday. The new one is better, a lot more quiet. At least you made him quiet. It was easy to do with this one. He keeps walking towards you and you start to wonder if you should head back. You'll all snap back eventually. Why not let this play out? Let's see how far this will go. Now that you're close, you can see water dripping off his body. Even after all these years. Finally, you can make out his face. Angry. No. Furious. Finally seeing you again. He doesn't like what you did. And who can blame him? He starts to run towards you. You finally stop walking. Waiting. He's on you in a second. Lunging. Blunt claws and sharp teeth bared. I keep wondering if I should come out myself. The last time I heard any voices like that was almost 5 minutes ago. Still, I realize that they could both be outside or something, and I don't want to come running out if Leo decides to come back in. So I wait, starting to feel sweaty in my cramped position, my nose twitching from the strong chemical smells. Probably have to take another shower. After another few minutes, I hear a soft padding up the hallway. I know it's Flynn, but I wait. Another few seconds of silence goes by before Flynn finally speaks. He's gone. So guys, I hope you liked my little... Those of you who know what I was doing there, I hope you liked that. So, how are you going to explain to Leo that Carl just forgot that I was there? I pull my shirt over my head, feeling kind of gross, putting back on my musky shirt. Musky shit. Flynn stands in front of his dresser's mirror, having just finished putting on his tie. He's currently picking at his scales with a pair of tweezers. Carl forgets everything, especially when he gets high, which is all the time. Flynn's been acting kind of distant after the Leo incident. It's not hard to imagine why. I'm feeling the same way. Leo was probably finding out, and put a damper on her stupid excursions. It really put into perspective how immature we were being. Really immature. I'm sorry, but who's immature? The person that wants to pursue sex with someone, or the person that's still caught up in a relationship that ended years ago? I wonder. Alright, so I'll spend the night at Carl's. I'll spend the night at Carl's, then left in the morning to do some filming. Then came back. Flynn had told me to text all this to Carl before I go over there. The only response I'd gotten so far was a short, "What?" We don't got any more other choices. I guess not. And Chase, we probably shouldn't do this anymore. Yeah, I know. Flynn glances at me through the mirror, then returns to picking at his skin. He clears his throat. I know this is kind of gross, but it's fine. We've all got our own gross things to deal with. Can't go into work looking like I got snowed on. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't ever really get that bad, but... Flynn breaks off awkwardly as he gets back to his grooming. It's weird seeing him this off, but again, it's not like it's unwarranted. I sit on the edge of his bed, texting Carl again to try and get him to at least partially understand what the plan is. After a couple of minutes, Flynn clears his throat again. Listen, Chase. You ever feel a little bit, like, not yourself? Look up and see the lizard looking at me through the mirror again. He quickly turns his attention back to his picking. I don't know, like you're not fully in control what you do. I frown. Is Flynn trying to get at something, explain his own actions? Does he feel like he wasn't in control of what happened between us? No, at least I don't think so. Flynn finally puts down the tweezers and turns to me, leaving his rear against the dresser. So you've never felt like you're not yourself? Though I'm not totally sure as to what Flynn is getting at, I decide to humor him and think. I guess after what happened when we were kids, I didn't feel right. After Sydney? Yeah. I try to avoid talking about it directly, but Flynn doesn't seem to be bothered right now. Probably remember that I saw a therapist after because I felt so different and scared me. Flynn nods. Did they figure it out? Kind of. If I remember right, they said it was like a dissociative thing. What's that? Like, sometimes when something really traumatic happens, your brain sort of distance you from yourself to protect you. Hello, mirror, I see you. I shrug. Something like that. I'm not very good at psych stuff. I almost tell Flynn to ask Jenna, but of course he can't. So did they fix it? Not really, but I got used to it, I guess. It was like the new me. And you're okay with that? I shrug again. My therapist said that really traumatic things can change the way your brain works forever. You just learn to live with it. True enough. That doesn't sound good. No, but it's part of life. I think we all changed. Yeah. I don't go into detail about how it got worse over time. The whole not feeling like myself. How I felt more and more like my personality was bleeding away. That I'm a completely different person now than I was 10 years ago. Because in the back of my mind, I just wonder if that's what it's like to grow up. You become less like you were as a kid. Happy, carefree, complete douchebag. And turn into a hollow shell of that. I can still feel Flynn looking at me, so I decide to bring up something else that's just as uncomfortable. Since we're already there. I like how they do try to give Chase some personality. But, like, I get the entire reason he's just a blank slate is kind of also, there's a narrative reason for it, but that happens later in this route, and you'll see. So, when are you planning to talk to DJ? Flynn stopped for only a second. Saturday at the end of your trip. I'm not sure if that's the best idea. Doesn't leave much time to make amends if things turn sour, which they most likely will. But then I guess that means we'll easily able to just leave as soon as it's over. Okay. Flynn's still looking at me, so I abruptly stand up, putting my phone back in my pocket. Anyway, you ready to go? I don't want to make you late for work. Sure. Flynn finally straightens up, walking across the room to grab his keys. I'm glad just to have somewhere to go now. Flynn feeling off like this is one of the most awkward experiences I've ever had. Probably because he's usually so good at making things not awkward. So with that, Flynn takes me to Carl's house, dropped me off before heading off to work. You know, I really wish that during that sequence when you weren't chased, I slowly fell into that accident I did. I didn't fall into it like how I did just now. I just literally just dropped into it. I should have kept progressing as it went on. That would have been way better than what I did, honestly, because I sit quietly next to Carl on the couch as he plays his video games. It's some kind of first-person shooter I've never seen before. You know, I'm not all that into shooters, but this one is pretty good. Me too, Carl. I don't like shooters either. The only one I've ever played was Spec Ops: The Line, only because I heard it was a really good story, and fuck yes, it was a good story. Really psychologically deep and Heart of Darkness and everything. Man, it was really good. Yeah? Try to act interested as I browse through my phone. I've already texted Leo apologizing and telling him that my phone had died. It's weird how quickly this lie has gotten out of control. I'm the rumor. Wait, okay. VeggieTale shit. Yeah. I'm making things up as I go at this point. Well, no, it wouldn't be rumors. It would be like the Fit from Outer Space, but whatever. And I'm amazed how easy it is. Leo hasn't responded, and I doubt he believes any of it. It still gives both of us room to pretend, though. Yeah, man, I think it's the sci-fi elements. I could never play one of those World War shooters. I kind of agree with you there, buddy. You see, with the World War shooters and just the, in general, real-life ones, there's always just this overwhelming hint of toxic patriotism that just overwhelms them, and I can't stomach that. I can't stomach that when I know for a fucking fact that war is not patriotic, it is not kind, it is not just. It is a fucking cruel thing to ever happen. And honestly, I don't fucking care what the reason is. I am staunchly anti-war. Unless there is an overwhelming reason to. I am staunchly anti-war. Same. Carl clicks around with the controller for a while longer. You alright? I sigh loudly, finally tearing my eyes away from my phone. Yeah, I'm good. Because you don't seem good. I don't respond to that, instead choosing to zone out to whatever's happening on screen. What's with this whole story anyway about you spend the night or whatever? I debate whether it's worth telling Carl or not. You go along with either way, but keeping all these secrets is starting to make me feel sick. Well, I spent the night at Flynn's. Leo found out I wasn't at the motel, so he came looking for me. Ah, shit, it's you and Flynn, I let the silence hang for a while. Carl snorts. Wow. Come on, Carl. No, I don't mind. Just seems kind of weird. How so? What's so getting defensive? I'm not really in the mood to be judged by Carl. Flynn's fucking sexy as hell, so I don't blame you, Chase. Yeah, he's cool and everything, but his life, let alone his sex life, doesn't exactly put him in a position to do so. Jesus Christ, wow. Well, you just barely got here 5 days ago already. I sigh. You know how Flynn is. Yeah, I do. So you shouldn't be surprised. Oh, Chase, you do not know the half of it. You do not know the half of what Carl knows about Flynn. I can't read that one on YouTube because it's mainly just sex, but like it does explain a bit about Flynn and Carl, so. But I mean, we've known since we were kids, just feels a little bit. Carl, I'm not really in the mood right now. Carl goes quiet for a few more minutes, the clicking buttons on his controller the only sound. It doesn't last long though. You know, I saw you guys at the river a couple of days back. I saw you too. I mean, I saw you guys. Carl, I just said I'm not in the mood. Carl shrugs. Just saying it right now. It's cool. Keep quiet, hoping that will get Carl to drop this stupid subject already. It doesn't work. But I get why you gotta keep from Leah like this. My phone up to see if I've gotten a text from Leah yet. I haven't. Me and Leo, we don't hang out all that much. Though I think he tries to. He talks about you a lot. Try to ignore the guilt that's steadily building up inside me. Don't fucking feel guilty. Did you smoke today? Because you're being real talkative right now. I only ask because I don't smell it. Usually it's pretty strong. I actually had an edible this morning. Carl giggles for a good long while after that. Oh really? I massage my brow with a thumb and forefinger. Normally I get along great with Carl, especially when he's high. But after this morning, basically everything is getting on my nerves. I usually hate that shit, but I don't know. Guess I was bored today. Those things shoot me into fucking space. Guess it explains why you don't shut up. Hey, am I pissing you off? I immediately regret what I just said as Carl puts the game on pause. No, just had a stressful morning. It's Leo. Carl starts the game back up, giggling again as he shoots a space marine in the face. Finally, a text from Leo. Good to know. Another one immediately follows. Let's hang out sometime soon. No, fuck you. But you know, Flynn cares about you too. Yeah? Takes Leo a quick affirmative. Though I'm not really sure that hangout is going to happen. When that hangout's going to happen. Yeah, when started talking about you when you drove to the reservation. Really? That actually did seem really out of ordinary. The hell would Flynn have to say about me? Carl shrugs. Bunch of stuff. He wanted to buy you something from the reservation, but thought it might be too weird. Flynn, buying me a gift. That is kinda weird. For Flynn, I mean. I thought it was kinda cute. What else did he say? Carl seems to think Carl while he continues to shoot guys in the screen. He twists the controller this way and that, bumping in my shoulder each time. Say you seem to have grown up a lot, that you're way different than you were as a teenager. Yep, really cute. Yeah, I have to agree. Carl's tone seems slightly annoyed there, but I don't really care enough to ask about it. By the way, how's your project going? Being reminded that I have an entire project to do needs the knot that's formed in my stomach. Not that great. Still need a lot of fill and research. What kind of research? Still about Echo. Like history stuff? Yep. Carl plays a while longer than sets down his controller. My mom had some Echo history stuff in the cellar, but... Pauses. You know Flynn is like the records holder, right? The clerk, yeah. I already know what Carl was getting at, and honestly, I want to kick myself for not thinking of it in the first place. Carl turns to me, a loopy grin on his face. Those edibles really do fuck with him. So let's go get some records from him. Probably better than digging around my basement. Oh, you don't know the half of it, Carl. Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, we should, but I don't even know what to get. Don't worry about it, dude. I go down there to shoot the shit with him all the time. We can ask him. Things aren't exactly cool between Flynn and I right now, but it's something to do. I'm so wild on my project at this point, I don't have any excuses. We pull into the gravel parking lot in front of City Hall. The stucco structure looks a hell of a lot more weathered than I remember it. Tarps draped the roof, and one of the windows is blacked out with plastic. City Hall is probably the oldest building still standing in Echo. From what I read in the county website, it served as the town's post office back in the early 20th century. Before then, it was an outpost used as an intelligence operations. During the years leading up to the Mormon Rebellion, the fuck is that? Government spies were planted in the nearby settlements from Colville to Peyton and delivered their reports and potential agitators at this outpost. They actually kept a priest on hand to help reaffirm the spies' faith in the true word of Christ. Oh boy. It's weird to think that Sydney was the last Mormon I knew. Are you sure Flynn works there? I exit my car, watching Carl stare. Straight ahead, his eyes are half lit at the ram, seeming to stare for miles beyond the building in front of us. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Alright. Carl doesn't move. Are you gonna come out? Ram blinks slowly as Moss trying to hang gape. He shifts his bloodshot gaze towards my torso. Nah, my parents would flip. He flops his wrist in front of him limply, his tone tinged with effeminacy. Of the car. Yeah, just give me a second. Carl reaches down and screwing the lid from his water bottle and taking a few hearty glugs. When Carl grabs into a car's door handle, he hesitates. Afterward, he looks at me. He's completely silent, sucking in his cheek on one side. Carl? Finally he speaks. I sort of agreed to come without considering that I'd be talking to anyone but you and crew today. Let alone the mayor and stuff. He's still stoned as balls and I look like shit. He laughs some in a self-deprecating fashion, visibly sheepish despite the THC still flowing through him. I think I might just chill here in your car with the air conditioning and hit gun tactics. He holds up his phone, and I think I can just barely spot the icon for it in a sea of other game apps. Carl does look high, though. It doesn't appear any worse than he usually looks. Telling him that probably wouldn't do much for his confidence, though. I'm staying in the car. It's probably a good idea, all things considered. You gonna be alright in here? I mean, if you start to sober up, feel free to come get me. I could always use a hand. I'm good, man. Scoots back to the car seat, son, leaning it back. You got me up way too early to be hanging out proper like anyhow. I'm usually asleep until like 3 hours from now. You really sleep until 2 o'clock? Yeah. Jeez. Hey, don't judge me. You're the interloper here. I'm about to make a jab at where Carl learned a word that large, but reading his expression, it's evident he's in the mood. And honestly, neither am I. I toss him the car keys and they bounce gently off the rotund bulk of his torso before he scoops them up off the floor mat. I'm inside and ask for permission to film, then maybe go through some files inside if they let me. Carl grunts. They should, it's all like public record or something. Except for aliens that crashed out here in the 40s. That's still classified, Agent Hunter. A pang of nostalgia shoots through him as I catch on to what Carl's referencing. A faint smirk tugging at the corner of his lip. When we were little, Carl and I used to run around in old church clothes and pretend to be G-men hunting for aliens. Oh. G-men, really? Half-Life, really? Okay. H and H. Agent Hendricks and Agent Hunter. Our parents got so pissed at us for playing in the dirt and black formal wear, but we were super into it. Carl even drew up a zine, sort of documenting the make-believe adventures. Eventually, Carl started really getting into superhero stuff and tried to segue our adventures into the Superwolf universe. I didn't like Superwolf all that at all, and after Armor, I called him too fat to be a superhero. We ended our imaginary adventures. God, I was such a dick. Before I can say anything further, Carl's setting his phone aside and popping open my glove box. Do you still have those black sunglasses? Oh man, no. Leo said he liked them, so I gave the pair I had to him. I do have a turquoise shell pair in there somewhere. Isn't that kind of girly? Carl gives me a sidelong look as he withdraws the aforementioned pair, holding them up to me. Look, guys can wear tortoiseshell. It's not like they're polka dot or something. My mom wears these colored sunglasses all the time. I literally can't see this without picturing her. Well, like, that's your personal thing. No one else thinks that. He slides them onto his face. They rest somewhat awkwardly on his sizable snout, unable to settle in place neatly. Your nose is too big. Carl pulls the shades off his face and simply tosses them in the dash, leaning back into his seat with a long exhale. Well, it's your thing. I'll be here. Right, be back soon, Carl. Yep. I turn, heading inside. Stepping into City Hall, the first thing I notice is how dry the air feels. There's no ventilation to speak of. It makes me feel like I'm standing inside a really slow baking oven. Half of me wants to run out and jump into the first body of water I can find, while the other half wants to curl up into a ball and nap. The faint droning of a voice on a speaker is audible. It sounds like some sort of outdoorsy hunting and fishing podcast. Chase! Flynn's tall, leering form emerges from one of the doorways, a stack of envelopes in hand. We stare at each other for a few seconds, as the reality of what we've done with one another is hanging pretty poignantly in the air. Hey! He exhales, his demeanor shifting, his raised shoulders going more lax, and his tail settles on the musty, carpeted floor. What? He looks back through one of the doorways beside him, then back to me, his skilled brow furrowed. For a moment, my mind blinks, and I'm not sure what to do with my paws. It's really stuffy in here. Flynn looks at me questioningly. The only people that work here are reptiles, so we keep the habitat all dry and such. His gaze shifts back to the doorway again before returning to me. There's something you want? I'm pretty busy. I clear my throat, crossing my arms over my chest. Yeah, I was hoping to get permission to film around City Hall and take a look at some records. What records were you looking to go through? Well, I don't know. And stares at me with an indiscernible expression. I'm just looking for anything I can use in my report. So you don't have a parcel number or date or anything, you just want to what? Browse? Well, maybe you could point me in the right direction. You're the city clerk after all. Flynn's out a raspy exhale, moving to take his seat in a swivel chair at the front desk, his tail coiling around the base. Alright, the rain room is off limits on account of that monsoon season. Took out a portion of its roof cover last year. I can set you up in the mailroom with the microchip. Oh wait, right, okay. With the microfiche and a computer for the time being. He grasps the edge of his desk, staring at the tips of his fingers. I need to check with the mayor to see what all you've got access to. Flynn's about to stand up again when another Gila steps in the room. Holy shit, they gave her a Sprite. Wow. I did not expect that. Okay. She's slightly overweight and decked out in khaki shorts with a matching outdoorsy button-up top. Despite being indoors, she dons a large sun hat, also khaki, with a vibrant floral bandana around her neck. This must be the mayor, Flynn's aunt. I thought I heard another voice in here. I catch wind of her perfume, a strong, sweet pea scent that seems to fill the room. Her slitted blue-green eyes focus on me. It's almost like she's sizing me up. Are you from the grant committee? I pause, quickly shake my head. No, sorry. She visibly seems to deflate, her brow lowering, her eyes drooping to a half-lidded lull. Ha! I'm Chase, Flynn's friend. That's so. Another one, then. She looks over toward Flynn, who is currently rubbing his temple. He responds quickly. An old friend. Childhood. You met Chase before, I'm pretty sure, at least in and around town. She seems to think for a moment before a look of realization comes to her. Oh, I almost didn't recognize you with that thing on your chin. I most certainly remember you. I blink, reaching up and cover my goatee instinctively. You were the one who was always palling around with the Red Wolf fella, Leo, weren't you? Gay couple, right? I chuckle a bit sheepishly, nodding. Having spent the past 3 years at Pueblo, I'm not used to people talking about me like this as I once was. Yeah, sort of. I mean, yes. She exchanged a glance with Flynn, who was looking a bit tense. Chase is doing a skull project on the town and wants access to records you got in hand. You fill out a request form yet? No, he just wants to browse, I guess. Well, it's only public record stuff that I want to take a look at. You still have to go through the process. Usually requests are just for a parcel at a time. What sort of school project is this for, Chase? Well, I'm a journalism major at the University of Pueblo. I have to create a documentary-style video report and something. I chose Echo. Ah, you aren't aiming to smear us to the general public then, are you? Her tone suggests she's joking, but she has that same intense look that Flynn has where I can't really tell for sure. No, Mayor. You know, we have a grant application that we're interested in putting out there that requires a video entry detailing the sites around town. Would you be interested in that sort of thing? Oh, well, maybe, I don't know. I guess I'd have to know more about the project. Honestly, I can't imagine the sheer amount of sugarcoating I need to muster. I need to muster create a positive report about this place. Fill this out. Flynn is pushing the form across the desk my way. The mayor clears her throat. Chase, we're asked for a lot parcel requests. You can just put all inventory. Alright, will do. Take a pen from Flynn and begin to write as see him look up to what's on. All inventory? Yes. Alright then. He asked some idly. The podcaster on Flynn's computer speakers are going into detail about creating complex fish nets and trappings. I'll leave you two boys to it then. Welcome back to Echo, Chase. It's good to be back. Flynn slowly rolls his eyes, turning back to his computer. The mayor just smiled before heading back to what I assumed was her office. I finish up the form in silence, pushing it back toward Flynn. He squints at it for a moment before speaking. Any word from Leo? The topic change catches me off guard. I look up to see Flynn leaning in close, his voice lowered. Yeah, he believed the whole spending the night at Carl's story. Carl went along with it. I ended up telling him the whole truth, though. I guess I just started feeling real shit about all this lying. Flynn leans back in his chair suddenly, clenching his eyes shut tight. He opens his mouth like he's going to say something, but really shakes his head. Shakes, you fucking realize that when this week is over, you just get to go back to college land. And I'm stuck here with the results of your shitty choices. You know Carl as well as I do. He wouldn't go telling Leo to start drama. And anyway, he saw us, by your truck. Flynn's eyes open and just stares at the ceiling for a long moment. Fuck it. Let's get your musky ass set up with a goddamn county guest login so you can access our GSI maps. GIS, good grief. He scoots back toward his computer, beginning to type something in. I catch a glimpse of his desktop wallpaper. It looks like some sort of waterfall surrounded by a lush evergreen forest. It's kind of blurry, like a smaller image stretched to fit the screen size. I can also see a few transparent stock image logos overlaid on top. We've got physical records, the real old ones, stored in the mailroom. Though I wouldn't say the shit there is very browsable. Some religious historical society types came by 8 months ago and helped us archive a lot of it. They're all in the labeled manila folders along the south wall. Flynn turns back to the computer, pecking at the keyboard. For a clerk, he's not remotely a fast typer. Oh damn, Farragut has permission to film here. Flynn grunts. Permission granted. Go do that while I get this fucking thing working. Glancing back at his screen, I see incorrect password, 2 remaining entries before lockout flash up. After looking at his keyboard, it takes me only a couple of seconds to figure out what's wrong. Flynn? What? He snaps at me. I can see his pointed teeth between his scaled lips for a moment. You have caps lock on. Flynn pounds the caps lock key with some extra force before returning back to his typing. Thanks, now fuck off for a bit. I stare at him and I can't help but feel a twisting sensation in my chest. I'm not sure if I expect him to treat me differently after what we did, but I definitely didn't think he'd treat me worse. I try to think up something to say to make this right, to make this not awkward as it seems to be getting. Yet the longer I sit here, the more uncomfortable he seems to get. I guess I'm just literally leering at him like a creep right now. Fuck. I get up and head out, deciding to keep my mouth shut as the best course of action for the time being. The girl parking lot makes it difficult to accurately line up my shot. Everything ends up looking slightly crooked. I know I can probably fix it all in post, but that's more work for me that I'm not looking forward to. Carl, meanwhile, has his eyes glued to his phone. Looks like I found a pair of earbuds because he's got those in too. Refocusing, I take stock of the footage I've got from here so far. The midday sun means that my recordings are all pretty much well lit, but I can't help but think that a sunset will be more symbolic. Maybe I'll come back later, I don't know. My phone vibrates in my shorts. Grabbing it to see I've got a new message from Leo. With Jenna and TJ playing football. I'm assuming he means soccer, but I decide now isn't the time to press him on word choice. Sounds fun. Film with Carl and Flynn here. I slide my phone in my pocket and locking the trunk of my car so that I can start putting away all this equipment. Quick response because I'm playing soccer. Upon checking my phone, though, the message turns out to be from Carl. Get back to work, no texting. I look around the trunk hatch to see Carl's smirking muzzle, his chin buried in his hoodie. Stepping back behind the trunk, beginning to text back. Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. After hitting send, I set my phone down, beginning to lock up the camera in the neon orange University of Pueblo hard case I borrowed. Another message from Carl. I'm so sorry, Daddy, to you, boy. Jesus. Snickering, I text back. Don't play gay chick with me, I will win. I finished packing up everything and shut the truck, waiting for the next response. As if on cue, my phone vibrates once again. I almost realize now that Flynn is standing at the City Hall entrance with arms crossed, staring furrow-browed at the car. Why the fuck is Carl here just sitting in the car? Grinning, I hold up my finger to him. I look over the most recent message. I don't like chicken, I like cock, boy. I snark, eliciting a raised brow from the Gila. The hell are you two doing? I got your shit set up. You will not win this game, sir. Daddy, I told you, boy, don't make me spank you. Oh, he's fucking stoned off his rocker, ain't he? He ate too much of an edible this morning, apparently. Finn looks to me, then back to Carl. Probably for the best you stay in the car, then. Come on. He turns, heading back inside. I follow, watching Carl smiling to himself before going back to his mobile game. Flynn leads me through some narrow hallways, the ceiling laden with visible old piping and the walls covered in dents and scratches. Eventually, we turn into a colorful room that looks like a mix between an old post office and a kindergarten classroom. Alright, like I said, archive files are in the back along the south wall. The computer in the corner is logged into the county's GIS viewer, maps and shit, basically. He points to a cream-colored computer that must be from around the early 2000s by the look of the make. Dust visible on the top of the tower. Oh my god. Fucking computers with towers. Good grief. Those are fucking outdated now. I remember, I was 6, but I still remember we used to have this computer that was like that. My god. Oh, so, where the native burial grounds and that sort of thing are. Flynn crosses his arms, looking back down at me. Yeah, no. As far as I know, the Masada tribal governments have put forth any sacred cyclings with miles of echo. No, buddy boy, you don't know how close you are. Actually, yeah, they haven't. Wow, really? Really? Why's that? I don't have a whiff of shit's worth of clue or care. Don't ask Jenna if you want to be all weird about it. I don't think she has much ties to a tribe. Yeah, well, it doesn't stop her from being a bitch about whatever she sees fit. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Flynn. Flynn sucks in his cheek as if saying that left a bit of an unpleasant taste in his mouth. Flynn speaking less than kindly towards folks as anything new, but not usually about Jenna. He looks down at some papers in his hand as if they were something very interesting. Is this about what she said when you got Carl the letter from the reservation? His slitted eyes looked back up to me, his lips thinned. You thought that was bullshit too, right? Well, I think she was just still in, I don't know, den mother mode with regards to Tej after what you did. If you want to get everyone talking again, you should just apologize. Oh, what is happening? There's a pause in the conversation as cloud cover shades the light coming in from the window. It's not just about the lighter crap. She doesn't give a shit about me, and she really didn't give a shit about Sydney. I blink. I'm still amazed how much his name is being mentioned after all these years of silence on the subject, especially from Flynn. He catches my expression and grunts, the healer resting the side of his hip against the sorting counter. When he died, all she fussed about was how it affected TJ. Sid could rot for all she cared. That's not fair, we were kids, and people react to that sort of traumatic stuff differently. Maybe helping TJ really kept her occupied. Oh yeah. Remember a few months before it happened when all that shit was going on with Sid's dad. And fucking Jenna, all she did was try to shield TJ from all the negativity of the situation. She tried to help, but he was different. I don't know, fuck, we were just kids. No. She fucking hated Sydney. Carl hated Sydney. Leo hated Sydney. TJ would never fucking admit it, but he hated Sydney. And you hated Sydney. He looks me in the eyes now, quiet for a moment, trying to think of what to say. Then meanwhile just looks expectant, seemingly waiting for me to blanch and trying to defend myself. Sydney was an asshole. He raises his chin, some his arms crossed, and to squeeze more tightly over his chest. Yeah, so am I. No, not like him. Nobody knew him like I did. You said that, but that doesn't mean the crap he pulled on us on TJ was any way justified. I'm pretty sure he genuinely enjoyed watching people get hurt. Flynn stares slack-jawed before gritting his teeth. He liked wrestling. He liked pirates. He liked pulpy adventure shit, but he did not like hurting people. TJ cried every day, no matter what. He could see a dead fly in a windowsill and start bawling. And you all would drop everything and rush into his aid, scorning the shit out of anybody who didn't. We couldn't make jokes, we couldn't tease each other, we couldn't roughhouse, we couldn't even fucking swear without TJ getting upset. It isn't like we couldn't just hang out with someone else. This is Echo, and Leo is fucking dead set in keeping the group together. Though now the group for Leo essentially consists of two members, your ass and his cock. I frown deeply before I can interject. He continues. When Sydney died, you all convinced yourselves he was this monster kid so that you didn't have to hurt as much. I ain't gonna apologize. Fucking hell, they should. Flynn uncrosses his arms, staring some out the slow window of the crumpled mailroom. The cloud cover lifts. I'll be in the front desk. If you take something, always put it back where you found it. He turns, making his way down the narrow hall. I literally agree with everything that he just said. I really do. I remember the first time I played this, I was like, no, Flynn, you're being irrational. But now, no, I agree. He turns, making his way back down the narrow hall. I'm left alone. Everything feels really quiet now, sort of weird solace amidst the shells of Echo's history. I rub my face and muzzle, spinning a whisker as the previous conversation plays back in my head and begins to fade like a passing dream. a slow exhale, I turn and head over to the archives. They all seem to be categorized by numbers like 105-66009 or 107-21-001. I grab a random file off the shelf, 106-01001. Flipping it open, I see a cluster of 15 or so papers and permits for a place called Adelaide's Thrift and Pawn. It sounds familiar, and it only takes me a little bit more perusing to figure out why. Near the exit from Route 93 to Flint Road, there's this faded old shack of rotten wood. Growing up, all that was left of the sign out front was Adelaide's Thrift. I think it's bulldozed now, since I didn't see it on the drive in. According to these documents, Adelaide Vonneberg applied for and successfully obtained a business license and deed to the property in 1979. I'm guessing these folders correspond to a piece of property with an echo or a parcel. That helps some, but I still am not sure exactly where to look. I put the file away and move over toward the computer Flynn got ready for me. The screen displays an aerial photograph of Echo with little polygons that are all over it, like a bizarre checkerboard. Clicking on one, nothing happens. I click again, and the pointer turns into an hourglass, the program showing that it's not responding. Damn it. As the hourglass rolls on the screen, I think I hear the front door open down the hall. At first I wondered if it's Carl, but then a voice speaks I don't recognize, then Flynn's. I can only make out a little of what he says. "That's what they told you at the county office. You could have come here." Hourglass spins. "The unincorporation, it shouldn't affect developers who..." Finally, a little window pops up listing owner, address, parcel number, links to building plans and other fields. Slow as hell, but this is actually kind of neat, I guess. Curious, I scroll over to the location of my old house and click. This time it reacts a little faster. "The complaint forms are physical, not much of an online presence at..." It's currently listed as abandoned and condemned. It looks like the people my parents sold it to ditched it rather quickly. I move back to the archive, picking up my old house's corresponding file and setting it down the counter. Opening it, I see a weathered floor plan of my old house dating back to 1986. Nothing here can remotely be considered of interest for my project, however. I put the file back where I found it. As I hear the increasingly quiet rasp of Flynn's voice in the other room, I realize he's probably too busy to hold my hand with regards of where to look. Especially after the previous conversation, it might be best to just give him some space. I stare at the aerial display of the computer monitor, trying to figure out where to start looking. Well, I'm gonna do the mine first. There's something about the old mine that feels off to me. Unlike pretty much every locale in Echo, the mine was one place we absolutely did not play. Sydney tried to make one of our scavenger hunt objectives down there once, but TJ told his mom about it, and that was the end of that. After looking up the parcel number, I retrieved the corresponding file and laid it out on the mail counter. This one is an archival notice attached to the front. I guess my hunch must be right. Opening the file, the first thing I note is that there's a seriously large amount of documents here, and even an old laminated photo. CM 1950. Ooh, okay. Huh. That's a hell of a lot more verdant than it is these days. Might have to do with the damming they did up in the north in the 50s. I'm guessing the CM 1915 is referring to the year the photo was taken. Within the folder itself, many of the documents seem to be legal in nature, including documentation of a lawsuit of some sort. The ones on top seem to relate to that tourism program Echo tried a decade ago. There are a few papers about a historical heritage grant and the installation of a bench and 2 lamps outside the mine's entrance. There's even a reference to a large placard installed to the side of the rock face outside, but I don't see it, but I don't remember ever seeing that. Following this, there's another folder with what contains some condemned notices and squatter evictions dating from 1970 to 1975. Said folder also notes a work order from the installation of rebar bars in the mine to prevent entry in 1976. Next is the actual lawsuit documentation itself. The lawsuit contributed in part to the official closing of the mine during the war in 1942. The working conditions were abysmal, and the owners of the mine were also heavily involved in town government, so there were corruption charges. The Danica mine, also known as the CSCG, Copper, Silver, Coal, Gold mine, was the most in-demand employer in the northern portion of this state for decades. This was in little part due to management by the owners, but rather the natural conditions of the mine itself. The structure of the bedrock kept cave-ins unlikely, and its chemical composition kept the temperature stable and somewhat bearable. Flooding was of minor concern to the low water table of the region. In other mines within the state, miners may have been expected to stand in 2 feet of dirty water and 40-degree temperatures, all the while with the looming threat of a cave-in being a very real threat, amplified with every strike of a sledgehammer. Yet even still, the mine managed to have one of the highest casualty rates for its workers in all the Southwest. The suit argues that this was the root due to severe negligence by the owner, Gregory Briggs. I don't know if we've met him in the smokeroom yet. Maybe, I don't know. Miners were... Actually, no, there wouldn't be, because this is 1940. Miners were required to buy their own tools, including candles, sledges, pick sticks, and even dynamite. Their wages, however, were of such little amount that many miners must have been forced to choose between having their tools and their family being able to eat that week. Many chose the latter, as most men who moved to Echo did so with the explicit purpose of being able to provide for said families. Briggs operated the mine under constant fear of worker unionization. To assuage this, he hired an incredibly diverse assortment of workers. His rationale, though denied in court, was to ensure that no group of workers spoke the same language, thus reducing the chance of collaboration. For better working conditions or wages. This preventative action was particularly heinous due to the nature of the work itself. Communication was crucial, especially in the low-light conditions of the lower depths. Despite the language barrier, miners were expected to coordinate dangerous group mining procedures. For example, for standard ore extraction, one miner would hold a spike to the mine wall while another miner swung the sledge toward the spike. With light sources being scarce, this meant that the risk of striking the miner with the sledge was a constant risk and something that occurred with some frequency. Many miners were crippled with blows to the paws or arms, and then once fire were unable to support their families. This led to several notable starvation incidents within the town. The lawsuit documents also reference a brief riot in 1915 where a grisly murder took place within the mines itself. Okay, so now we're getting to the smokeroom shit. Right, okay. And it wasn't a murder, it was self-defense, but okay. I make sure to write summaries with all this information down on a blank sheet of printer paper before putting everything back. It's this sort of crap that makes me glad to live in the age I do now. I don't think I'd make a very good miner. Alright, that's that, I guess. Been in school. After finding the parcel number on the GIS thing, I can't seem to find the corresponding file to go with it, It's like it doesn't exist in your records here. Or it might just be misplaced. I'm going to go with the second theory. Maybe I'll ask Flynn about it later. City Hall. City Hall has a lot of history. I assume most of the really old stuff's on file, but I'd be curious to see what's there regardless. After looking up the parcel number, I retrieved the corresponding file and lay it out on the mail counter. This one is an archival notice attached to the front. That's good. Hopefully that means there's supplemental information in here. Unfortunately, upon opening the file, I see there aren't that many documents. There is, however, a marked photo of some sort wedged between the folder edges. Cliff and William. Oh, I guess that means that Sam is taking the picture. Whoa. If that is really the date of origin in the top right corner, this photo of these guys was taken at City Hall 100 years ago. I look back to the folder, finding a caption note for the image. Sheriff William Adler left, and Wensleydale researcher Cliff Tibbetts, right, at town meeting to discuss Echo Meseta tribe relations. Cliff. Oh. I'm so nervous. Adler. I just realized now that's Janice's last name. Must be a distant relative of hers. The rest of the documents in the folder just seem to consist of mostly of proposed extensions and used changes for the building. A lot of them didn't pan out. There is a city government roster here, though, and it lists the historical election results from the town going back to the early 20th century. Surprisingly, Flynn and his aunt aren't the only Moores I see on the list. It looks like the Moore family has been involved in public office in some capacity as far back as 1914. Then why haven't we seen them yet in the smoke room? Maybe we will, who knows. Which is doubly surprising, knowing the prejudice against reptilians that was pretty heavy back then. There's this whole negative stereotype about them being evil and controlling the government that persists even today. So it's pretty weird if like the Moores managed to keep getting elected back when the ignorance levels were much higher. I'll make a note to ask Flynn about it as sensitively as possible. I go ahead and put everything back in the folder before returning it to the shelf. So what next? Carl's mansion, that's it. It's the one on the left. I know enough about Carl's family to know that his house is seriously old. His great something or another is the town founder, after all. Yeah, James Hendricks the first, yes. The place has been seriously modernized into a more stucco Adobe style, but there's some history underneath all that. Growing up, Carl overheard all this and started thinking the place was haunted. It freaked him out pretty badly. So much so his parents basically begged me to have sleepovers with him during the weekends and even some weekdays. Not that I minded, of course. Leo had all the video game consoles that were out, and his parents bought him M-rated games. Got to stay up late with his giant TV, blowing up aliens and running over hookers. I remember he started to become less afraid as time went on. His parents stopped asking me to come over as much. So of course, shitbag younger me told Carl a bunch of stories about a ghost bride who I saw stand outside his house at midnight. And that's how I got to spend my whole 5th grade summer vacation living at Carl's place. After looking up the parcel number, I retrieved the corresponding file and laid it out on the mail counter. This one is an archival notice attached to the front. That's pretty surprising on account that it's a residential lot. Opening the folder, a photo placed in front of all the documents immediately catches my attention. Oh. William, hello. Wow. A part of my mind immediately flashes back to Leo, but even he wasn't anywhere close to being this defined. I guess life in the early 20th century will do that to you. That's actually one of his sprites in the smoke room, huh? I should probably read the caption though for this that was attached. Sheriff William Adler rests after surviving the partial collapse of the Hendricks Castle. When is this gonna happen? What? The Hendricks Castle? Below the note are some rather old rudimentary building plans, crumbling at the edges. The penmanship is all weird cursive and I can't read it. It does look a little like Carl's house, but much, much larger. What follows are a series of deed transfers from various members of the Hendricks family, and eventually more modern building plans. There's even a cutout for magazine, Southwestern Modern, which shows off the kitchen space back when it was first redesigned. I noticed something wedged in the back, a beige piece of paper that doesn't look like anything else in here. The embrace of these lands. Boik, as black takes the sky, hot turns to cold, the safety of ignorance from the specters of the day, shut their eyes, they wail for the dark blanket, and to save them from a hell and the, what? Okay, I'm just gonna, poem? How would this be here? Embrace of these lands, Boiki, as black takes the sky, hot turns to cold, the safety of ignorance from the specters of the day, shut their eyes, they wail for the dark blanket, and to save them from a hell and the blonde tarantula pulls itself from the depths, wrought within and without, in search of a suitor who will not live past the vehemence of its love. That's interesting. I flip over the poem and set it down on the counter. On the other side is a notice of death, for reference in an estate transfer. It's for a James Hendricks who passed away in 1913. No, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't. No. So, the James Hendricks the First passed away in 1913 then, right? Or maybe his son, because his grandson would be James Hendricks the Third. The cause of death is listed as poison infection. Theraphosidae tarantula. This is pretty unsettling. I didn't think tarantulas were poisonous. I mean, I know they aren't because I fear searched information online one night after seeing one on my back porch at 3 a.m. I guess that poem was some sort of informal epitaph for this guy. Regardless, it's a shitty way to die. I slide the poem Death Notice back into the folder and make a note of it for the project. Oh, so it must have been the first James Hendricks, though, because the poem was talking about, like, the blonde tarantula will not escape the vehemence of its love. It's either talking about John or James there, I know that much. I think that's all for this parcel, so I place the folder back in its slot in the south wall. Then I turn around, I see the mayor standing in the doorway. She's peering at me quizzically. A little startled, I straighten up. Oh, hi, Mayor. I was just finishing up. She's watching me speak, like staring at my mouth. Not my eyes. It's honestly freaking me out a little. She doesn't respond. Mayor? Make sure you put everything back where you found it. Oh yeah, don't worry, I did already. Did you now? She steps in the room, picks up a folder on the edge of the counter. I recognize it as one for the abandoned mines. Oh, yeah, I forgot that one, sorry. She stands there with the folder held out, waiting for me. I quickly move and take the folder. I try to with the hard stare I feel on my back as I walk to the archive wall. Far left end, second cubby from the top. Oh, thank you, I didn't... It looks like Flynn's about ready to take off. You gonna give him some company? The way she phrases that makes me reconsider a hasty response. Sure, I can hang out with him and his roommate. You have a boy in your car. I blink. I have a car in my car, yes. He wanted to hang back while I did all the work. I feign a chuckle, though not very well. I've never been good at that whole smile with your eyes thing. Carl Hendricks? Yeah. Have a good rest of your evening, Chase. Thank you, Mary. You too. She moves on down the hall. After a moment, I follow suit to meet up with Flynn at the front desk. Dude, that's skeevy. After that, she just walked back to her office and shut the door, almost slamming it. Maybe she's not a fan of you queer tops. Gotta put some southern drawl for that last bit. I step out of the car and pop the trunk, moving together on my equipment. The sun is starting to get pretty low at this point. There are not really been any tall mountains to the east, so echo sunsets tend to last a while. Maybe, but she seemed alright for Flynn. Why does that sprite seem different? Like the colors seem weird. Carl follows suit, and those eyes are still glued to his phone. I can't get over that whole "there's a boy in your car" bit. Yeah, she seemed kinda, I don't know, weirded out with me or something. But she wasn't like that when we met. She was pretty cordial then. As I shut the truck, I spy Flynn's truck parked behind the house, as well as what looks like a faded yellow moped. I'm assuming that one is his roommate's. Huh. Ram shrugs. You are kinda weird. Maybe you did that staring thing you do sometimes? I blink. The what? Never mind, man. I frown. Carl looks up from his phone long enough to catch my expression. I'm just kidding, just making fun of Flynn's old dressing you down back at the river. Carl smiles, smirks, his eyes are no longer glazed over, and it actually feels like he's looking at me, rather than 1,000 miles away. We make our way up to the front door, Carl tapping away at his screen. Hard to imagine my house was even bigger back in the day, though. My parents already have more rooms to know what to do with. Like, we got 3 spare bedrooms, right? But we never had any guests or anything. They don't get used, just gather dust and stuff. Your parents let you clean them? Carl rolls his shoulders, idly wiping his hooves upon the rough palm fiber. Floor welcome mat. Sometimes. Knowing Carl, that pretty much means never. Once inside, the familiar hot, stuffy climate hits like a wool blanket thrown around me. What sounds like some sort of lo-fi hip-hop is playing in the background, what I assume is Daxton's room. The interior is dimly lit with the exception of a bright white light coming from a jar fridge. Daxton stands next to it, holding a block of pale cheese. Is this what you need? The salamander seemed to be peering at us expectantly. No. He raises his brow ridge, craning his neck to look past us. Talking to Flynn. The Eela's large self steps out of the laundry room beside us, looking at Daxton. Oh, sorry. Carl gives me a sidelong smirk. That's the provolone. The recipe needs Savardi. Flynn steps past without much acknowledgement, moving to the kitchen beside Daxton. We have a block of Havarti, but it's in the freezer. There's this thing called a defrost setting on the microwave. Yeah, but you left the fish you caught all on top of it. The pack is sealed. That shouldn't matter. Well, freezer kind of reeks. Like I said, the package is sealed. It shouldn't matter. Then I shrug to Carl. I move in and set my equipment down on the kitchen island, next to the kitchen island. I take a seat in one of the wicker-topped bar stools. Carl lingers on the entryway a bit before moving to sit in the stool next to mine. Flynn wordlessly goes to the fridge and pulls out 2 bottles of light beer, popping the tops and setting them down in front of us. Thanks. I'm not 21 yet, legally, you know. Flynn shrugs uncaringly before getting a beer for himself. Looking around, the countertops are pretty free of clutter beyond some Mesa Community College letters in a heavily used black notebook. The notebook is labeled World Building and Fictional History 204. Few water stains have shriveled the edges of the paper. Whatever. Daxton places the provolone back into the fridge and places the allegedly fishy Havarti on a plastic cutting board. Meanwhile, Flynn is now at the sink washing vegetables. Daxton grabs a small knife and finally glances back at me. Welcome back, Chase. I wave him a bit, lip-wristedly. Hey. He smiles then, shifts his gaze to Carl. The Ram looks up from his phone a little apprehensively. And, I've seen you before. I forgot your name. Sam something? Carl. He answers, his voice quiet. Oh. Well, good to meet you. Usually you're kind of in and out of here real quick, like when you do come by. Carl shrugs. Yeah, same. The Ram's gaze flicks back to his phone, Carl typing something. Daxton frowns slightly before shifting his focus back to the cheese cutting. Does Daxton have fucking expression art now? I don't remember if he did or not. Looking over, it looks like he's texting. The contents of said message being... As good as you... Hey, Carl. Phil looks over his shoulder, scrubbing at what looks like a cucumber. You got your outfit cut out for the interview on Saturday? Yep. Wait, what? Carl, you have a job interview? Yep. I found myself smiling a bit. Carl didn't tell me about this at all. I'm surprised he didn't mention it earlier. That's great, where at? Carl stops typing, his lips point a bit tight around the edges of his muzzle. It's in Peyton. Peyton Print and Design. I'd be like printing copies and making people posters. Oh, the print shop at the mall. I know of it. What do they pay? Minimum wage. Not that it matters, though. Daxton looked slightly confused. I turned to him. Carl's parents are pretty well off. Flynn stops what he's doing, going to the fridge and taking out a box of strawberry popsicles. He drops it down on the counter beside Daxton, the salamander starting some, looking to Flynn in the box. Flynn points at the hen's ice cream label above a logo of a weather vane with a chicken on it. Carl's Parents Company. Daxton's an astonished huff, looking for some sign of fib on Flynn's muzzle. No way. Way, I'm the ice cream boy. Daxton blinks, meaning to look at Carl in a new light. That's really cool. Carl's look sidelong, then back to Daxton. Well, you think so, I guess. Flynn takes the popsicles back to the freezer, returning to his station at the sink. Just make sure the clothes you got all fucking fit right. Can't remember the last time I saw you dressed up. It fits, dude. My parents drag me to all sorts of black tie event stuff. I have to stand around and lie about my career goals. You haven't done that in ages. I went to the charity gala thing 2 years ago. You mean 20 pounds ago. Most of it's muscle. I'm not calling you fat, lard ass. I'm saying that when it comes to time for the interview, you come with a hoodie and cargo pants, they're gonna think you don't give a fuck. I mean, I kinda don't, you know? Oh, the fuck you don't. You're really looking forward to disappointing the shit out of your folks again. We're used to it. Jesus fucking Christ. Dax and I exchange an awkward glance. I'm half tempted to follow Carl's lead and start pretend texting. You worked at the freight warehouse for years and you were miserable. Can't blame you for not looking forward to the same sort of thing. Carl feigns a raspy chuckle, though, by the jittering of his hooves against the bar stool. It's apparent he's tense. And now I have my own house. I see his slitted gaze shift brutally to Dax, and he looks like he's concentrating very hard on cheese cutting. Mostly. And print and design, it's basically working with all the same computer shit you do for your art crap. Seeing no opportunity to diffuse, Daxton chimes in. You're an artist, Carl? Shit, by like the loosest definition of the term, I guess. Flynn just rubs his temples, so I'm shifting his attention back to cooking. He places the freshly washed vegetables into a metal pot on the stove with one of those steamer lid things on top. What kind of art? You, don't seem like the oil-based pastoral type. Carl blinks. I hear Flynn grunt derisively, then the clicking of the stove top audible as he turns a nozzle for the gas. His heavy tail flicks behind him, lightly slapping the floor. I realize he's trying to get my attention, his eyes meeting mine, then moving to Daxton, and finally flicking to a textbook by the dishwasher. Art History 101, Historical Perspectives and Fundamentals. Glancing back, I think I see the corner of Flynn's mouth twitch up at me before he turns back around to his pot of veggies. It's still kind of weird seeing Flynn in a work outfit all the time. In high school, he was more of a jeans and jacket type of guy. Southwestern rockabilly who didn't like rock and roll. His work slacks are pretty baggy and definitely high the definition of his legs. Flynn's got a V-shaped physique through and through, narrow calves with thicker thighs and a sizable rump. When he bends forward a little, I can see the outline of it all. The lewd side of my mind starting to wonder if he's doing it on purpose. Why would he after what he said this morning? Pastorals. I'm not very good at backgrounds or anything. Portraiture, then. Very snazzy stuff, that. The salamander smiles at Carl, showing his rounded cheeks. Carl just looks at him confused. My side now is a good time to interject and spare Carl from Daxton's entry-level college art class inquiries. Carl draws pop culture character stuff mainly, I think. I haven't really checked out his profile in a while. Superheroes, comics, that sort of thing. It's really good stuff. It's not. He pauses, shifting his phone in his paws akin to rolling putty. Since superheroes has become really popular, everyone draws that stuff now. Much better than me. It's kind of a dead-end style, I guess. Can't make any money from anything I make. Carl sounds more like he's quoting something rather than stating an actual opinion. Daxton raises a brow and nod in acknowledgement. There's a pause, the only sound the bubbling of the water, and the only sound the bubbling of oil and water, and Daxton's knife hitting the plastic cutting board. Well, not if you draw them with your clothes off. The salamander tries to put on his most innocent face. That lasts for about 3 seconds before breaking into a wry smile. Carl's groaning, the ram taking a long swig from his beer. He's grinning too now, though. Everyone online tells me that, but I don't know, man. Every time I try to out Chaos Wolverina's tits, they just look like big ass furry eyes stuck to her chest. Paxton laughed, and I found myself chittering a bit too. You could try drawing guys instead if one giving you too much trouble. You like that, wouldn't you, Chase? I don't like superhero stuff that much. Well, I wouldn't judge you if you did, Carl. I've written a few awkward sex scenes in my day. You're a writer? That I am, at least trying to be. I'm taking creative writing courses that may say to get better. The folks really wanted me to go into marketing like them, but I'm not really into it. That's lucky. I'm having to go into debt, but so I'm not sure if I'm that lucky. Hopefully one of the books I'm working on sells well. Most people don't read these days. Yeah, and that sucks, Flynn. That sucks. The salamander places the cut-up cheese upon slices of white bread, then puts the bread on a cooking tray. Sighs, he looks at Flynn. Not everyone can suffice without coming home from work and staring at the wall for hours like you, Flynn. Some people like some degree of mental input, you know? What? Flynn flicks the stove top off, his eyes low and his brow ridge furrowed. Daxton passes him with the tray of rye and Havarti, sliding into the oven. You call the shit you write mental input? The Gila stops what he's doing, squinting at Daxton. Did you defrost that Havarti, or did you seriously just spend the past 15 minutes cutting into a frozen block of cheese? This house is like an oven with the Habitat rain like it is. The cheese warmed up on its own after a while at room temperature. Flynn throws up his hands, visibly exasperated. It wouldn't have taken you 15 damn minutes to do a few slices of cheese if you just defrosted it. Are you in a rest or something? What do you mean about him staring at the wall for hours? Salamander looks standoffish now, his arms crossed. My question seems to have been ignored. Might be. Daxton, what sort of stuff do you write? Surprisingly, Carl was the one to butt in this time. Daxton turns, getting some plates. Mainly science fiction and fantasy. Ew. I hate that. Ew. You know, Adasterite. Oh, boy, here we go. Just a thing to keep in mind, this was written before Dastra was even out. So, yeah. Carl takes another drink of beer, rubbing his beard in thought. Sort of, I don't really watch it myself. Is that space exploration starship show from the 60s with the sexy aliens? Dyson snaps his fingers. Yes, that one. People draw a lot of porn of them. Oh, you don't even know the half of it, Carl. Good grief. I am aware. Anyway, I used to watch it a lot when my brother was growing up. I got into the whole peace in the cosmos throughout science thing, something fierce. The stories for each episode were based on real science. The salamander finishes setting out the plates, bumping his fists together and smiling a bit sheepishly. I'm taking a few physics and engineering courses in Miss Mesa to try and better understand it all for my writing. Makes sense. I also really like the whole diplomacy part. The ultimate goal of all first contact is peace and learning. You really don't see that much anymore. Oh my god, the fuck. How much did they plan this out? Yep. Like, this one episode from Season 6 of Frontier is a really good example of that, and it really inspires a lot of what I'm writing in my story. My phone vibrates in my pocket. Fuck, a message from Leo. Hey, you're not in the motel? Sort of sinking feeling takes hold of my chest. I can feel Flynn looking at me from the counter at the top of my reply. With Carl, Daxton, and Flynn about to eat dinner. When I look up again, Daxton's still chatting away to Carl about the Adastra episode, but I'm not really paying attention anymore. He's serving up the steamed vegetables and the fancy cheese bread fresh from the oven. The bread looks a little burnt around the edges, but maybe it's supposed to be that way. Of course you... Fuck off, Leo! My fingers effectively squeeze tighter on my phone. Flynn quietly walks around the counter, stepping behind me to look over my shoulder. At first I think he's going to say something, but he just doesn't. He's silent. The sharp exhale began to tighten my reply. We can all hang out tomorrow. Found some interesting stuff for my project at City Hall. It makes a noise, though I can't really tell whether it's of encouragement or disapproval. Need to talk to you one-on-one. No, fuck you, I reply. About what? He responds almost instantly. You know exactly what. At this point, I realized Carl's looking over at my screen, too. I'd call him and Carl both out for being rude as any other time. Dax, meanwhile, just looks at us well with a concerned expression on his face. What's up? Don't worry about it. Carl and Flynn both look at me expectantly as my thumb hovers over the reply button. Should I even respond at this point? I have no clue how he could have found out about Flynn and I, if that is truly what he means. Leo's never really been good at getting his point across through text. He failed many in English class growing up. He always preferred to talk face to face, so maybe if I can be convincing enough in person, he won't be so worried. Or maybe I should just tell the fucking truth. I hate this. I'm not even sure I did anything really wrong, but I can't but feel like garbage. And now my pseudo-infidelity lying game is becoming a spectacle. I decide I might as well respond with at least a somewhat true response now. No. I shove my phone back in pocket and Flynn steps back. This is so fucking stupid. Carl just looks at the phone with a flat expression. What? Carl shrugs. Like I said to Chase earlier, man, I won't say anything. Daxton currently chewing on his very crunchy cheese bread, looking at us from the other side of the counter. Drama? Yup. He moves from my side to back over around the kitchen island, grabbing his plate of food and taking a big mouthful of broccoli. You want to watch some Ad Astra? The salamander smiles awkwardly, gesturing to the small living room area. I'm down. Carl holds up his bottle of beer before taking a swig. James Flynn? I sigh. Usually TV is a bit too passive when I'm trying to get my mind off stuff. Most often I turn to video games instead. Still, Daxton seems pretty passionate about all this. I guess it can't hurt. Sure, though I've already seen it in a few of the movies, I think. Oh, which ones? The ones with all the lens flare and chrome? Daxton looks as if bad taste is just so on his palate. The Tallyridge directed those. They tried way too hard to be edgy and action-packed. Completely ignored the proper characterization. Like Lieutenant Gamorok fighting the plasma emitter on the Force being at the Force being an ambassador. She's completely non-violent in the original series. She took a vow of peaceful resolution following the violent cascade that destroyed her homeworld in the first season. But the writers just thought it would look cool for the trailers if they showed her disintegrating a guy while screwing her head off. I really like the thought-provoking philosophical stuff. I really like thought-provoking philosophical stuff. Another protagonist running around killing people. Daxton hops, rubbing his fist against his smooth brow. I'm not sure exactly how to respond. Yeah, it's pretty not great when that happens. I like the space battles, though. Of course, they were made to appeal to a casual audience. Blink, Daxton quickly holds up his hands, his eyes widening. Oh, I didn't mean that's an insult or anything. No offense taken. I offer him a reassuring nod, taking a bite of the steamed veggies. They certainly taste fresh. Flynn must have gotten these in Peyton. Daxton's stuck having to deal with us filthy casuals tonight. Again, sorry, that's not what I meant. No, I know what you mean. You dig it because you grew up with the original shit, and you have all sorts of fuzzy feelings about it. I'm actually kind of surprised to hear Flynn chime in. Yeah, I mean, looking back, the original series is pretty dumb and cheesy. But it wasn't for you when you were a kid, or the tit dirts who watched it back in the 60s. Yeah, dude, back when we were kids, Leo's dad would get us all a bunch of random VHS tapes from the thrift shops in Colville every now and then. Like real dumb kung fu movies or straight-to-video slasher flicks. Didn't even matter if they were R-rated. Sometimes on summer nights we'd gather at Leo's place and watch a bunch of them until it was morning. They were all terrible. It was great. I found myself smiling a bit. I'd almost forgotten about all that. Oh jeez. Flynn also gets super into them. He would yell at the screen every time the characters did something stupid. Carl chuckles into his paw, grinning toothfully at Thela. Oh man, you get so butthurt. You start stomping around and slamming Leo's cans until you got in trouble. Flynn looks off to the side. If lizards could blossom, I'm certain he'd be doing so now. Whenever there was someone with a gun on screen, they never had any trigger discipline, or completely held their guns wrong. And every time, every movie, someone's being chased by some killer or whatever, they completely forgot how to run. Oh yeah, you kept counting how many times you tripped. You had a little notepad with your trip tally. Jackson looks absolutely tickled by the revelation about Flynn. That sounds hilarious. I wish I had friends like you guys growing up so I could do that sort of thing. Flynn waves dismissively. It was alright. I remember I could never do it when TJ was around. Satanic propaganda and all that, right? Yeah, it would be fine with me if we eased him into it. We would start off with Budfire, Babes of Babylon. Carl nods sagely, sipping at the last bit of his beer, for getting up to retrieve another from the fridge. So, Flynn, you wanna... Yeah, maybe. Jackson looks pretty elated, the amphibian's slightly chubby cheeks puffed out at some as he grins. I know of some really schlocky episodes in the first few seasons in the original series. I'll put those on. Sounds good, dude. Jackson sets his plate down, fast walking to the TV in the living room. After a moment, Carl looks over at me. Nerd alert. Flynn goes to slide his now empty plate into the sink, slapping Carl on the back of his head as he passes. Fucking rich coming for your neckbeard ass. Hey. I mean it endearingly. Across the room, Jackson waves at us. See, I told you. I fucking told you. That is literally the fucking background art for Dastra. Anyway, that's it for tonight, because this video is almost at fucking 2 hours, and I don't want to test my luck, you know? So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Bye.